if I did not have that blood transfusion and if I kept hemorrhaging, I could have died more than once. So in every way, it was a life-threatening problem. And in the meantime, CPS was holding on to my son and then claiming that I was not cooperating, which was, and during that entire time, I had already signed a release and asked them to set up an appointment for me to see a psychologist so I could clear my name and to do the urinalysis or whatever. Although I'd already been to 5 different hospitals who took my urine, and I'm sure nobody found any drugs. So I kept asking them to set that up, and they never did. So from the point I was in this one hotel, I couldn't get work right in that immediate area, and then I called up Henry. He said, you know, you want to hang out with us? And I said, sure. So then we all went to this other Latin American bar, well, restaurant, but they had dancing. And we danced, and I remember I was still not feeling very good. I think because that woman just back-whacked me, my back really hurt. So I was kind of sitting there, I was like, I can't really dance. And I don't think I danced at all because I was in a lot of pain from that still. But I sat at the table and I was like, no, I'm not trying to be a party pooper or anything like that. I really, please dance, and I don't feel left alone at all. And I enjoyed myself. I mean, I had a good time. And Henry seemed to think that I should get to know Alvaro better. And then they said, well, where are you staying? And I said, I've been at a hotel. And then Alvaro said that I could stay with him at his place. And I didn't have money for anything else. I didn't have anyone else to call for more time at a hotel. And there was no romantic kind of pressure. In fact, I had kissed his cousin. Like publicly in front of everybody. But I kissed his cousin. I was sitting on his lap at one point at that place. Sat on his lap and kissed him. And I didn't kiss Henry, and I didn't kiss Alvaro. I think actually I did go out on the floor and I did dance one dance with them once. But I couldn't dance more than that because of my back hurting. But there was not any kind of there wasn't a sexual innuendo or anything. It just sounded like, I thought I was going to be, what I was told is that there was another room in a house. It was a house. And supposedly there was an extra room. So then we show up and there's not an extra room. It's locked. And all that there was Alvaro's room and like a twin-size bed. And I went to sleep on the floor and everything. It might have been larger than a twin-size bed. I think it was. Let me think about it. Yeah, it was a regular-size bed, I guess. Like a full-size bed or something. Queen size. And then the room was so tiny, there was no place to even sleep on the floor. It was like the bed took up the entire room, pretty much. And there's a tiny, tiny space where you could walk through that was in between the closet and the bed. And then the bed was right up against the window. And then there was a dresser in the front of the bed. And like I said, there was no room. There was, I don't think that there was actually maybe room to completely lie down, even on the floor. And I just thought, well, I'll sleep on one side and he can sleep on the other, and that's fine, because I was really tired. And I was in a lot of pain from being karate chopped. So I still had work at the time, I believe. Or actually, maybe right about that time, I think right around that time, about the same time that I met them, I had been fired from work because after I got karate chopped, I later went to, I still went to work, and I was in a lot of pain, but I think I got fired after I met Alvaro. Yeah, it was after. Because then I was at that house, and then the next day I went to work. So I still had this job at the Latin American place. But then while I still had this job, I then went to the hospital again, to a hospital in DC, about my back, because I was in a lot of pain with my lower back. And they gave me, the doctor there, I was very thankful. He was the only doctor that gave me a decent amount of painkillers. That was a very reasonable amount for what kind of pain I was in. And he gave me, I think it was just regular Vicodin and Valium. And I hadn't ever used that in combination before. I wasn't sure why I needed Valium. But I think I was probably anxious, and I didn't really understand my own anxiety level. But Valium had worked for me in the past, a long time ago. I had tried other things like Xanax. Xanax never worked, and it's so similar to Valium. I don't know why Xanax wouldn't work and would seem weird with my body, but Valium would work. So Valium was very agreeable to my body chemistry. And actually I remember that was another reason they tried to call me drug seeking in Wenatchee. I had all this anxiety from reporting. That was what I went to Dr. Parnell about. When I first saw Dr. Parnell, I had all this anxiety because of making a complaint about the FBI agents' misconduct. And I asked him if I could have a few Valium. And then he wrote me up as drug seeking. And I was never drug seeking. I really did need the Valium. I had panic attacks. Not as bad as one time, in my life prior, but so between my anxiety and needing Valium now and then, just on a rare occasion, and then my migraines, which were horrific, and I couldn't get rid of the pain without narcotics, they basically just kind of penciled me in and then put me in like a big black marker as drug seeking. And so when I was on the East Coast, and this doctor gave me a very reasonable dose, not too much, not too little, of Valium and Vicodin, I used it, and I remember this immense amount of relief that I had when I took the first dose. I just remember feeling so thankful. I'm just very thankful. Because I didn't want to be invalidated again when I was in so much pain. It's like this country abuses me and assaults me and tortures me, and then they double that pain and suffering by trying to invalidate me and make me sound like I'm crazy, and then not treating it. It just is unbearable. So I was very thankful that I had something to take care of my pain. And I still felt fine. I felt okay, like functional. I didn't feel like knocked out or anything, and I didn't feel extremely sleepy. So I felt that I could work fine. I mean, I had to work. I let him know I was working as a waitress. I thought that there would be no problem with my working that way, and there wasn't. I went to work, and I didn't have a problem. I was serving everyone well, doing a good job. But then I made the stupid mistake of telling one of the employees there that I was on Valium and Vicodin because of this back injury. And then that person, the next thing I knew, I was fired. It was for a medical reason, but they said, "We can't have you working here if you're on drugs." And I said, "No, I have a medical prescription." And I showed them. And they said, "We just can't have you working here. You can't work effectively if you're taking Valium and Vicodin." And I got fired. So then all of a sudden, it's like I'm out of a job. I'd just been back-whacked by the CIA. And I'm staying with somebody that I had not intended to stay with for very long until I found, got a little more of my tips and found a new apartment for myself. And anyway, that was how I ended up in this one townhouse or house sort of situation, and how I met Alvaro. I actually did not go home with him to, it wasn't a romantic thing. I was told there was another room, and when we got there, the room was locked. And what do you do? So basically, this country first shuffled me around, and then later, when I didn't get married to Alvaro, then they decided to have me sleeping in the dirt in the streets. That's what they had planned for me next. I was punished and degraded to extremes that nobody would understand. I don't know anybody. So it's about probably 10 or 15 minutes after 4 o'clock right now, and I need to take a little break. This might be the last clip that I make for just today, because I'm trying to get some other things done, and I will continue making these posts. Really just don't want to be tortured anymore, and I want my son returned to me. Thanks for your time.